Hey everybody, this is Kohdok here, and the day has finally arrived for the full launch of PlayFusion's Lightseekers, and I'm sure a lot of you are wondering what the whole thing is about and if it's worth a look. Lightseekers is a franchise created by the company PlayFusion and merchandised by Tomy. It's a sort of cross-media mobile game that eschews microtransactions in favor of trading cards and connected figures with other ambitions intended for the future. Over these next few days, I'm going to break down the various components of the series, starting with the mobile game, then onto the toys, then the cards, and finally how it all ties together. Lightseekers is the story of Tantos, a world covered in ruins left behind by an ancient race known as the Colossi. Recently, the world has been threatened by some vaguely demonic creatures known as the Umbron, who seem to be after these Colossi relics. It's up to the Lightseekers, heroes who bear the brand of Colossi magic, to repel the Umbron and keep Tantos safe. Pretty simple, right? In the game, you must take on the role of one of 6 Lightseekers and use your powers to thwart those who threaten the world of Tantos. Currently, the only playable characters are Jax and Korra, but more heroes will appear as their figures are released. While the game has a similar aesthetic to Skylanders, it actually plays more like a Diablo-style game with perhaps a splash of League of Legends. Rather than set levels, Tantos is instead a more open-world affair, full of enemies to fight, items to harvest, quests to clear, and places to explore. Your character will automatically perform their basic attack when battle begins, but they also have access to 5 special attacks, which have their own effects, cooldowns, and mana costs, as well as a combo attack, which acts as a sort of super art for huge damage and other effects. These combos recharge slowly over time, but fill faster when abilities are used. If a combo matches the order of your hero, then certain elemental attacks will increase a multiplier that allows you to charge the combo up to 50 times faster. Your Lightseeker can also bring along a pet who aids in battle and can give you a host of unique abilities such as drawing aggro, stunning enemies, or healing you. Your pets and weapons level up with you, while your armor and accessories are based on character level and rarity, with your Lightseeker being able to equip rarer and more powerful items as your level increases. But the way to power all of these items up is with the Light Stones. Light Stones are special items that can be found throughout Tantos and which are powered up by magical fragments and charge stones. These Light Stones can equip onto weapons, armor, and pets, giving them boosted stats and new abilities such as increased damage, special defenses, and even a chance for your special attacks to cost 0 MP. There's a lot of customization going on in this game, especially at later levels once talent trees and mastery points come into play. They mercifully don't front-load it, and the game does seem to have a few phases, with most of the early game taking place on the large overworld maps, and the late game taking place mostly in the special dungeons. Oh yeah, did I mention the special dungeons? Each area has 1 or 2 dungeons which act as a sort of gauntlet full of the toughest enemies and bosses the game has to offer. These dungeons are frequently the best way to get new equipment and items, but they will also put your skills to the test. Defeating bosses or opening chests can give you dungeon tokens, which are redeemed at a slot reel at the end of the dungeon in order to get rare items. The higher the difficulty you face the dungeon at, the rarer the items you can win. Oh yeah, did I mention difficulty? Rather than gating off areas with more powerful adversaries, as the enemies level up along with your level, the game instead checks your current stats to determine what your difficulty should be to keep a moderate challenge, and the game lets you tweak this difficulty up or down roughly 8 places, though this has an effect on your experience points and item drops. So you could lower the difficulty as far as it can go and cruise through a dungeon with largely nothing to show for it, or you can make it a painful and frustrating ordeal that lets you walk away with tons of loot as a result. Honestly, the only reason to turn your difficulty below your recommended level is if you want to go ingredient harvesting, as the XP from that is unaffected by difficulty, or if you want to explore an area unimpeded. Otherwise, crank it up. There are also a few short party games with a pair of flight pack time trials and a whack-a-mole game which can be played to earn some extra gold and fragments. Now, the game naturally has its shortcomings. It currently only has 2.5 maps and 5 dungeons, which is sort of par for the course for a mobile game meant to be a perpetual experience, so we'll have to see how well they are able to maintain their content. The game is also really complex, which might be a bit much for kids who want to play it, though, hey, I could be wrong, kids can keep up with Minecraft after all. But the dungeons can be particularly unforgiving, and in some cases you can go from full health to dead and not really understand why. There are also a lot of places where the gameplay tends to sag, particularly in the phases between early, mid, and late game, and perhaps a bit more could be done in those phases to keep interest. A lot of the quest lines can also feel pretty unfulfilling as they lack any sort of big reward at the end. But I think this game's biggest weakness is that it has a little trouble retaining player interest or building a community. As far as renewable activities are concerned, there is currently a daily bonus that refreshes every night at midnight GMT, and repeatable quests that can be played every 4 hours, which earn some faction brownie points that can be cashed in for special items. There really isn't anything like weekly special events or community raids or even the ability to phone a friend. Most other online games at least let you call a friend for help, and the game does have a way of calling in a version of the player character, so why not have a system that lets you summon a friend's version of a character to give you an assist? Right now, the only online community building effort the game has is in the form of tribute cards, scannable cards that come with the toys and cards that give an in-game bonus depending on how many people have scanned it. But that's not quite the same as building wikis or sharing strats over the community to help others master a raid event. I haven't really seen that sort of community pop up yet, but I really hope it does now that the game is getting a full release. There's plenty in this game for you stat heads out there though, as pretty much everything, from your talent trees to your mastery points to your lightstones, can all be instantly reset and rebuilt to let you try out different strategies on the fly. You can also obtain more combos by scanning in cards, and if all of your combos match your order, then you can string your multiplier together to perform combos one after the other. There is certainly some depth to be found in the game, though it can be problematic as the game has 5 different base currencies and 7 different kinds of brownie points, which maybe could stand to be toned down a bit. Crafting has also yet to be implemented, and I honestly have no idea what that will entail, but at least there's no penalty in stockpiling crafting materials until it is. The internet demands and DRM can also be a bit prohibitive, as well as the effects on battery and longer play sessions, but it can work as an unwinding game and can be easily played at home. So that's a look at the game of Lightseekers. It's okay. It's not the sort of Skylanders clone everyone thought it was going to be, but it is in a bit of an odd place. It can definitely get a lot of mileage as a free-to-play game that doesn't resort to in-game microtransactions, though it can start to be a bit much by mid-game, but I will cover more of that in my final video. We'll have to see how PlayFusion manages to polish the game and introduce additional content down the line, but the foundation holds some promise and we will see how it goes from here. For now, a good way to build community as well as get some bonuses is through scanning tribute cards, which can be found on Twitter with the helpful hashtag #MyTributeCard, invented by yours truly, which you can scan for bonuses and toss your cards up as well. So that's a quick look at the game. We'll see how it ties together with everything else in the final video, but next, we're going to be starting off with PlayFusion's big star attraction, the toys. Until next time, this is Kohdok signing off.